In the previous video, we were talking about self-managed employees. Tannenbaum and Schimidt give us a model here that helps us to see how to go from being boss-centered leadership to employee-centered leadership. Over here in this section, it's more authoritative. And over in this section, we achieve employee freedom. So when we begin here, the boss makes all of the decisions. And when we get over here, the employees are making the decisions. So really, when you think here, we're at theory X, and if we move towards theory Y, then we could move towards this freedom section where the employees are more involved, have more responsibility, make their own decisions, and become self-managed. So all of this right here, really, if you just take a snapshot of the video here, all it is saying that it goes from the manager making all the decisions and announcing them, the employees have no say-so, to maybe we could say step number 2 is for management to sell the decision. They announce it and they sell it. Number 3, management presents ideas and invites questions from the employees. So we're moving, hopefully you can see, from the boss making all the decisions. Now we're at management presents some ideas that might occur and ask the employees for questions. So now the communication isn't just one way, it's beginning to become two-way communication. Step number 4, management presents a tentative decision subject to change. Number 5, management presents the problems and gets suggestions and then makes the decision. So we have more and more employee input. Okay, moving along to get through this. Management defines the limits of a situation and asks the group to make the decision. So they are making the decision now. So it's becoming employee-centered. And number 7, I think we're on, management permits subordinates to function within limits. There might be a budget limit or anything within this realm the employees get to deal with in their own way. So if we are trying to include the employees, make them more equal, more involved, and hopefully they take ownership in what they're doing, responsibility, that can really help push the employee up through the needs. Remember, we talked about needs. Self-esteem, hey, we get to make our own decisions. And what's the next one? Self-esteem, belongingness is included. We're not just the dogs at the company. So we're moving up Maslow's hierarchy. If you go back to Herzberg, challenges and personal growth, we have to think through this. Now, looking over here, it says 2 years. This doesn't happen overnight. We don't just all of a sudden let the employees take control. It would take about 2 years, they say, in order for this progression to occur. Why? Because during all of this, we are training and trusting. And the 2 years is based on low turnover. If people keep quitting and we have to replace them, then they're not learning. This really is a learning organization. So if we have the same employees, able and willing, we can take them over time where they watch the decisions slowly be given over to them, maybe in 2 years. So they're progressing over time. Everybody goes through this growing up. First, you're not allowed to leave the house. Then all of a sudden, the rope is loosened and you get to go play out in the yard when you're maybe 2 years old. And then you get to go to the neighbors maybe at 4, or you're trusted to wander about the whole property at 5. At 6, we're going to trust you to ride a bicycle, right? And then trusted to go to school. And then high school, you're riding the bus. Now you're staying out late with your friends. Over time, you're allowed to, as you learn, to do more things. So it's the same thing, it's just in the work environment. So now the problem here is the boss has to give up power. And bosses many times do not want to give up power. So the boss has to be willing to give up power here, just like parents and guardians do. You loosen the rope and then you have less and less influence. But you have to train and trust as we go along. Train and trust. Now, an important part of this is that they suggest that once this occurs, when we have a success, the credit goes to the employees. The boss has allowed them to function more and more on their own, make their own decisions, and when they make the right ones, they get the credit. When they make the wrong decisions, boss gets the blame. Why? Well, because the boss let the string loose a little bit too fast and they weren't properly trained. Now, in organizational behavior, we do talk about groups and group decision making and things like that and the benefits of it. And if you can imagine being able, you have a job, but you don't really understand how the whole thing works. So in this case, you might have 6 or 8 employees, and they come in and they start to listen to things in the boardroom. You know, the issues that we're going through, the trouble that we've gotten ourselves into, the target market, product development, and all of this stuff. And at first, the employees are just there in the boardroom to observe and watch and learn. And that's kind of how this goes. Slowly, over time, the employees can think strategically and think for the good of the customer and the company. At this point, here that the boss has given up power, the boss is now the 6th person on the basketball team. So they're kind of like a coach that's not on the court, right? And I would like to say again, related to the last video, this can allow us to have a flattened pyramid. Now you think about it. When you have employees who aren't trusted and they're not free to do anything, we would have to have a high organizational pyramid hierarchy, because you might think that the management has to be micromanaging and the management ratio might be 1 manager to 12 employees, because they have to watch over everything. They can't take their eyes off of them for a second. Well, once you've gotten over here and the employees are taking care of things, the manager doesn't have to micromanage. They're trained and trusted, and the manager can then possibly maintain leadership and take care of maybe 2 groups of 12 people. So I really have been in a situation where we didn't even know if the manager was on the property. We didn't know. Maybe they're coming in late, we don't know. Maybe they're on vacation and they forgot to tell us. The operation ran the same unless something big happened. And when I say that, in our case, there was only 1 team on the property. And we have leadership. Don't forget about leadership. But if there were 2 teams on the property in the middle of the night, 1 manager could easily take care of and manage both groups, which would give us a lower pyramid, less expensive, less management, because management now has trained and trusted the employees free to make their own decisions and take care of problems unless something huge happens. So easily the manager could take care of 24 employees or a group of 12 employees and another group of 12 employees while maintaining leadership. So there's some value to this, and if you do have low turnover, you should look into this. It takes a little time, but think of it as raising kids, and we get them over there, and then the operation runs itself. And then management also has time to work on the vision and that continuous improvement, because they can come up with, they have more time to think about things and then present them to the employees and let them solve the problem. So it's pretty cool thing. The poor souls over here who don't get any say-so in the operation, you almost kind of feel sorry for them. And you have to feel sorry for the manager, because the manager has to be there keeping their eyes on the operation at all times. Nobody is trained to do anything or trusted to do anything. So pretty cool little model.